the football. For the city and the back roads. Got a whole county full of them goats. All from the football and that goat. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah. So let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva. Them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmetto and Valley. We from the football chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewell got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really bout it, yeah. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them, yeah. And Connie, I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the football. This for the football. This for the football.
All right, everybody, it is Wednesday, so you know what that means. It is time for the 440 Sports Show right here on ysnlive.com, your home for Ashtabula County and Northeast Ohio sports as a whole. My name is Sam Torres. Thanks so much for joining us. Let me double check. As a whole. Guess what? We got sound, so we are good to go here in this one. Yeah, so tonight we got a great show ahead of us. You know, our normal. We're going to go through our stat leaders, both volleyball and football. We're going to talk about some of the results from around the county, and we are also going to welcome on Pymatuning Laker Ty Vickery, who had a absolutely huge game against the 5-0 Southeast Pirates. He goes out there and I want to say he was responsible for like 38 points himself, not only scoring touchdowns but getting the 2-point conversions 8 separate times in that game. Big game for PV in that one, and it was in large part to Ty Vickery with the help of Ryan Croston as well, who also scored 4 times. That rushing attack was really, really something to watch out there. We'll bring up his graphic, this week's graphic. Our player of the week is Ty Vickery. Like I said, 251 rushing yards in that game, 4 touchdowns, 8 2-point conversions. It was a heck of a game, and a heck of a game by a heck of a guy. We're going to bring him in right now. Ty Vickery, welcome to the show again, Ty. You're pretty much a veteran at this point on here.
Thanks for having me, Sam. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, this season has gone it's gone pretty well so far. You know what I mean? You guys had a little bit of a rough start. You guys have had some absolute monsters on your schedule, including, you know, Girard, who's one of the top teams in Division 4. So you talk about playing up, and you guys were, you know, up for the challenge in that one. But coming into this game last week, you've got a 5-0 Southeastern team, you know, coming to Andover. You guys go out there and show up. What was going on for you in that game? Because you guys, I mean, from the opening whistle, we're ready to go.
Well, you know, I would say our rushing attack, you know, me and Ryan, we knew that if we can get the inside leverage on them, we could, you know, get some yards. So I would say going down the field, like just pushing on the center. I mean, just
yeah, you know, one of the things you guys have done all year is really rely on that rushing attack. I don't think it's any secret that when you go against the PV Lakers, Ryan and Ty are going to rush the ball until you can't deal with the rushing anymore. You guys have 2 kind of, you know, similar running styles, but a little bit, there are some subtle differences out there where, you know, you're kind of the bruiser and you know, Ryan is kind of the guy who they're going to try and get the corner. But when you get to the corner, man, you get those legs going, and there ain't too many people catching up with you as well. What are some of the things that you worked on, you know, in this offseason coming in? Because you're not new to this. You've been in the mix since you were a freshman, you know, finding time on the field. You know, you've played a huge part, especially in the run game. What were some of the things you wanted to make sure you kind of tightened up, made sure you had sharp coming into your junior year?
I would say speed. You know, that's a big thing. Just being able to, you know, work around the blocking of just getting to the outside, working around the blocking, cuts. I would say keeping my head up going down the field. I know I like to lower my head when we try to get yards, but me keeping my head up and trying to get the extra yards it's definitely helping, and you can definitely tell.
Yeah, one of the other things I see when you're running the ball out there, and I don't know if this is something you worked on, is balance. I made a joke when we were on the broadcast that you were like a weeble wobble. You weebled, you wobbled, but you don't fall down. Is it just something that comes naturally to you, or is it something you worked on? I know myself as, you're taller than me, but you're still a shorter guy. It's we're a little bit easy, our leverage point's a little bit harder. Is that just something you've always had and you're trying to work on, or what?
Yeah, I've always had that. It's just the low center of gravity for us, So.
That's right, man. They overlook it until they're on their back, right? Robert Vickery says that kid is in the weight room. He's a beast. So yeah, let's kind of expound on that a little bit, Ty. How much? What are some of the things you're trying to do? Like, how much time are you spending in the weight room? How important is that for you?
It's very important. For class, my first period class is actually a weightlifting class, so I'm in there basically every day. Mondays before practice, we're in there. I mean, the whole team's in there a lot, and for the off season in the summer, we're always in there. So.
Yeah, and again, it shows because you guys are a bunch of blue collar tough kids. That's all I can tell you. Like you go against PV, whether you're faster, they're gonna try and be stronger. They're gonna try and make sure it's a game, and that's in large part to you out there. Now, what are some of the things you do in the off season when you're not playing football? What are some of the other sports you play?
My freshman year, I played wrestling. I didn't get to do it my sophomore year. But I play baseball in the springtime. So yeah, a couple different things.
Well, you talked a little bit about wrestling. You touched on that. And one of the things you're also very, very good at is on the defensive side. And we'll see that later in the show when we start having these tackle leaders out there. Do you feel like wrestling maybe helped you in that tackling? I always say that wrestlers make the best tacklers, but I always like to ask the guys.
Oh, yeah, of course. I think the wrestlers are always the best tacklers on the field. And they're your best. I'd say they're your best all-around players, I think. Maybe I'm just
I'm not going to fight you on that.
maybe I'm biased, but I don't know. If you get on the mat, you should play football. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely, it's 100%. You talk about just the pure effort that you have to put in on the wrestling mat and how that kind of translates into football. One of the things that I always like to talk to guys like you about is when you're playing Ironman like you do. So you and Ryan obviously take over the bulk of the carries on the offense for the rushing. I don't know how you still had any breath because you were running all over the field in that game on Friday night. But, you were still very effective on the defensive side. How much does that come into conditioning? How much time and effort did you put into conditioning in the offseason to make sure? Because I feel like you knew you were going to have to play both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I would say we did pretty heavy conditioning in the summertime. Crossan's he's always saying you got to play your best game in the fourth quarter. So we always strive to, we're always ready to be contenders in the fourth quarter. And I think summer workouts, sprinting, it just helps, I think. So,
one of the funny things is I got an interview with Coach Crossan after that game, and I don't know why it didn't make its way up. I posted it, but we're gonna repost it because there was some quality stuff in there. But he joked with me, and I think he might have been serious when he said he told his team that for you guys to win that game, you guys had to rush for 500 yards. Is that for real?
He did say that. I can confirm.
So, you guys are coming in and you have a nice a grouping of some younger guys. You got guys like Luke Giddings who are immediately making an impact out there for you guys too. But, some seniors, and you're in that junior year where, you're getting to be the top dog. You're still a leader. What are some of the things you're trying to incorporate and trying to improve on when it comes to the leadership portion of being an upperclassman?
I would just say being accountable. Obviously guys are going to make mistakes. The younger guys are going to make mistakes on the field. I mean, us included. I just think we just got to be accountable and, something's going to happen. So just get your head back in it and.
So you guys are getting ready now as we get ready to start this week to get into the heart of conference play. So you guys are getting ready to go against Fairport, and I made a joke with Chad Paul in the announcer's box that the NAC really runs through Andover. The A in NAC is Andover. So what are some of the things? Are you getting pumped up for this? Is this something you guys are really ready to go? Because you guys, I'm telling you, every year you're in the mix. I don't know the last time PV lost in NAC.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
So what are some of the things that we're going to be able to look forward to seeing when you guys take the field this week? You guys are going up against a pretty tough Fairport team, but it's a team that you guys have played a bunch of times in the past. So this isn't a new guy. You know what I mean? It's not a Girard. It's not a Southeastern. I think you guys have an idea. I don't know if you're necessarily rivals, but anytime you play anybody more than once, certain things carry over from one year to the next. So what are some of the things we're going to be able to look forward to seeing when you guys take the field this Friday?
I would say lots of running. I'm sure that it's going to be on both sides a running attack. I'm sure we're going to run at each other, and we're going to see who comes out on top. So
I'll tell you what, if it's a running game, I don't know that I'm betting against PV. You guys got some hogs up front. You and Ryan just find holes, and if there's not holes, you blow them open. So it's pretty good. It's pretty fun getting to watch. I mean, 64 points. Good Lord, I didn't know you guys had that much in you. I don't know if you guys have scored that many. And we were talking to the athletic director, Miss Nowakowski, at halftime. I said, "Are we getting on a school record or what here?" Because you guys were really, really getting it done. You guys came in there extra fired up for that one. What are some of the drills? Every team's got different drills. Everybody's got, runs their practices a little bit. What are some of the drills that you like the most out there?
I would say that's a good question, actually.
All right, listen, I'll make it a little bit easier for you. So obviously you run drills on offense and you run drills on defense, whether you are laying the hit or giving the hit. What does Ty Vickery smile most? Now, you smile a lot during the game. What do you smile the most after? Is it when you're laying a big hit or when you're getting hit?
Oh, it's laying the big hit 100% of the time. It's always that way.
So you love that defensive side of the ball. We love to see it. We really, really do. All right, Ty, that's what we got for you tonight, man. I just wanted to tell you thanks so much for coming on to the show. It was an absolute blast getting to watch you guys go out there and play that game. You played a heck of a game. I mean, eight consecutive 2-point conversions, and I don't think people realize how much that actually changes the game when you're getting 2 instead of 1, and when the other team's not getting even 1. You guys are, you added an entire touchdown and some points on there. So it was a really great game. I want to thank you so much for coming on to the show. I'm sure you're going to be back here. You're only a junior, so we'll keep the spot warm for you for next year.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right. Good job. Thanks so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Ty Vickery. And you know what he is? He is a huge part of this rushing attack that PV has come out there and established this year. I don't know that there was one single pass thrown in that game. You know what? Ryan, I got to look because he was over 200. He's talking about Ray Torado's asking how many yards did Ryan have. He was over 200 yards as well. Like those two, the 1-2 punch that Vickery and Croston offer in Pymatuning Valley is something to contend with. They both are hard downhill runners. They both have a pretty good amount of speed. I would say that Croston's probably a little bit faster than Vickery, but Vickery is definitely harder to take down. He's got a great center of gravity. He's low to the ground. He runs, up, north and south, and he's just effective. And especially, you talk about Crystal Vickery says, proud of you, Ty. Keep that head up and find those holes. I'll tell you what, he was finding them on Friday. He was finding them. But, you talk about how tight it gets for those 2-point conversions. I think it's something that gets overlooked because when everybody knows you're running the ball, they can load the box, do those sort of things. He has the innate ability to kind of bust through those holes. He finds the holes that his offensive line is creating for him, which is a huge portion of it as well. And, you could feel it from the opening kickoff on Friday night when PV took the field that this was different, and there's something to be said about those homecoming games. Teams just play a little bit harder. The crowd is a little bit louder. It's usually more packed. I want to send a shout out to the fans of Pymatuning Valley, the fans of Andover, because they packed the house for that game. There was whistles, there was bells, everything you could think of, whatever they could do to make that home field advantage an actual advantage. They really have done it. And it's not new. Like it would have been that way even if it wasn't homecoming. When we started doing this and the first time we went out to Andover, I said, this is incredible. It's a smaller stadium. It's more compact. The crowd is right on top of you out there, and they make sure that their presence is known. You might see trucks in the background with, flags. And I mean, there's just, it's a great environment. I love going out there. It is so fun. Teresa says, Ty, stay focused. He is an animal. He is absolutely an animal. Very, very strong kid too. And you saw Southeast, try to load the box. And his yards after contact, and that's not a stat that we necessarily keep or most coaches necessarily keep, but I'm telling you, it had to be. The kid rushed for 250 or some yards like that, but his yards after contact had to have been at least over 100, like 118 yards, because he was not a one tackler takedown guy. And when they were out there, if you arm tackle him, you are not tackling. And they kind of heavily rely on that. And then for him to be able to switch on the other side of the ball and make some tackles on defense as well. And, you had a big game from guys like Croston as well. Croston goes out there and a bunch of tackles for losses. He's running for 200 plus yards. You got guys on the defensive side, Alex Simon, Matthew Adkins going out there, getting interceptions, creating turnovers. And PV was really just having themselves a night on Friday, and you love to see it. Southeastern came into that one 5-0. You talk about a huge win. It's one of those that kind of turns the momentum around for Andover. I coach our Little Laker youth football, and Ty was in the weight room Saturday before our game. Took time to high five kids and wish them well. All around huge. Listen, that is you love to see that too, because one of the reasons I've done this, one of the reasons I started this with Ryan a couple years ago was because we know the power that these high schoolers have. And when you uplift them, they will then take that energy and push it to the younger ones. And there is no bigger superstar for a youth football player, for a youth cheerleader, than the cheerleader that they see out there on Friday night or Saturday, depending on where you're playing. You go out there, and we all love football. We all love watching NFL. We all love watching college, and it's great. I'm a huge Browns fan. I'm a huge Buckeyes fan. But the superstars that are right within your community, these are tangible people, and they make a difference. These are the ones that these kids are looking up to. As a youth, I can remember looking up to guys like the Kiev Knights of the world, like the Josh Coopers of the world. These guys were the real superstars out there. The Elijah Wan Coopers and the Cameron Bobs. These were guys that when you looked up, they were doing it in front of you. They were making a difference. They were, as far as you were concerned, the best football players you'll ever see. And they're right there in front of you. and they make a huge difference. So when these high school kids take the time and they acknowledge the youth and they bring them up and they're a high five or something like that, just a little acknowledgement makes such a difference for a young kid. I remember when I was a kid, watching the Sean Allgoods of the world. When these guys get done, rushing for 5-6 touchdowns and they come up and they're like, hey, little man, give you the high five, or hey, young lady, high five. It makes your whole night. It's the equivalent of Chubb or one of these other guys, except these guys are right here in your home. And that's why it's so awesome to see these young guys like Ty, and you see it around the city. I've seen a couple posts on various Facebooks for all these teams and about how they get involved with the youth. Ryan, who left the show because he was, he saw the importance of youth. So to go out there and get this youth football program going for St. John, and he is putting his whole heart and soul into that, and just he understands it as well. You know what I mean? So he gets those guys. I call them the Friday night superstars. You get the Friday night superstars out there, and the little kids start to buy in. And if you take care of the youth, then you have a future. If you ignore that youth, it's going to be tough here in about 4 or 5 years, because don't forget, these kids, no matter how good they are only going to be here for 4 years. They're only at the school for 4 years. Let's get back to some of these comments. Betty Vickery says, thank you for noticing Ty. Absolutely. It's hard to not notice him. He's a phenomenal player. He is a phenomenal player. He's made an impact on that team. He's made an impact in the county for the last couple of years. Christy Paul says, they are an amazing group of young men. Such joy to watch and cheer for. Ty is a force to be reckoned with. That's absolutely true. Again, like I said, folks, you go out there, the support that they have out there in Andover, that Laker Nation is real. They are out there every week supporting, whether it's football, basketball, cheer. I mean, if they cross country, you name it, they're out there. They're pushing these kids forward. A great job for the band. The band does a great job out there as well. It's a great culture, and I love to see it. And I'm just really, really, it was a blast. It was really a fun time out there. With Ray Torado on the camera, and just getting to see. And I'll be honest with you guys, they serve sausage sandwiches at the concession stand. And I like me some sausage sandwiches, so that was a big one there. There's still a lot of – I'll tell you what, the best one we've had so far this year, me and Ray, and we'll both go on record as this, Perry has the best concession stand dog I've ever eaten. It's called a pirate dog. It's a hot dog with chili and nacho cheese and onions and regular cheese and sour cream and jalapenos, and it is everybody who's ever had GERD. It is your nightmare, but I loved it. It was great. Those concession stand, and shout out to all those concession stand workers everywhere, because that's another one of those big things. You talk about it's a community to continue to keep these games going, and without concession stand workers, without the chain gang guys, I'll tell you what, these games don't happen. We give refs a hard time as well, but again, if you don't have the zebras out there, you cannot play the game. So all of these guys going out there and volunteering their time, I want to just give you guys a shout out, and tell you how much we appreciate everything you're doing, because that's one of the things that kind of motivated me to do it. It's, you got to help. If you don't help help these events go, and if you don't treat these kids and these events like the superstars that they are, you're really shortchanging the youth, and that's not great for anybody. I have been going on and on and on, and I'm going to go to my first commercial break here in this one. When we come back, we're going to go through the season leaders for football. We're going to talk about some of the results. We'll go through actually, you know what? Tonight, I think we're going to switch it up. We are going to go into volleyball first. So we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to go talk about our volleyball. We've got a couple young ladies who reached incredible milestones right here in Ashtabula County. We'll talk about them when we come back, get into the football guys right after that, and talk about some of the games that are upcoming this week. This is the part of the show where I want to remind everybody that we are still looking for sponsorship of this show. This is a weekly show, at least during the football season. During baseball and softball and basketball, we'll see how that changes as more games are being played, but you can definitely count on us being here every week at 8:30. 440 Prime Time is going to be here to tell you what happened on Friday and what is going to come up. But let's talk to our friends from Toyota of Warren, and we'll be right back.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
Sheely's is more than a furniture store. We're a hub for all of your appliance needs. We offer the widest selection at everyday low prices, with over $1 million of in-stock inventory from Whirlpool, KitchenAid, LG, GE, and more. Our knowledgeable, no-pressure sales staff can help you find the perfect appliances for your home. We're there for you beyond your purchase to service what we sell and offer free local delivery with 24-month special financing. Sheely's, the best things in life happen at home.
House troubles can attack anytime. When trouble strikes, call Mighty Mike. Your hometown hero is on his way. HVAC causing havoc? Has your furnace gone mad? Mighty Mike Heating and Cooling will save the day. Commercial or residential, 24/7. For quality service you can depend on, call your hometown hero. Call Mighty Mike.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks to all of our sponsors so far. Again, this is, just remember the 440 Sports Show right now. We're still looking for sponsors. We're still looking for advertisers. I'd love to get your product, your company, your business out there in front of well over 9 million views, which is what we're looking at on the website of ysnlive.com right now. And that's not even through football yet. I haven't got the updated numbers, but I can tell you, I can almost guarantee that they are more than 9 million views. It's a great way, all the way from the Mahoning River to Lake Erie. The coverage area is monstrous. It's truly regional advertisement is what we can offer for the very, very best price. And then also, to me, what's the most important of that portion of that is the fact that you're helping kids. It's the advertisers, it's the businesses, it's the sponsors that continue to allow us to do this. That gives us the opportunity to do shows like this, to create events like the Combine, like the preview, like the All-Star games that happen under this huge umbrella that is YSN. It's the sponsorships and it's people like you from right in the community that are going to help us to continue that. So if you have a business or somebody with a business, send them my way. I would love to talk to them and figure out how we can promote them and they can help us promote these kids. All right, everybody, let's get down to some of the stats, which I think is what people are tuning in for at this point. But we are going to start with the volleyball. All right, everybody, it's time for the volleyball stats right here in the county. We are going to start off with the Lakeside Dragons, who are 4-12 right now. This is for the week of 9/20 to 9/27. They go 0-2 last week, taking losses to Madison and Geneva. Their kill leader this week, Andy Makovsky with 104. Tess Collins is their ace leader with 32. Jasmine Colazo is their block leader with 27. Tess Collins, their dig leader with 257, and their assist leader is Andy Milkovsky with 181. I want to send a huge shout out to Tess Collins, who became the all-time assist leader at Lakeside High School for the volleyball. 1183 was, I believe, the assist mark that she broke. And obviously she's still playing, so she's going to continue to pad that record as she gets through this season. And Lakeside with a very, very good volleyball team. You talk about winning a record for anything for Lakeside, especially in the volleyball, is something to behold. They've had some great coaches. They've had some great players. And now Tess Collins will be held among the best of the best, especially when it comes to the assist record. And then not only did she stop there, she goes out and gets 1,000 digs in her career as well. Talk about a very well-rounded player. Tess Collins is it for the Dragons. She has done a great job. She has a great a player profile that was done by Anthony Hartwig. That's right here on ysnlive.com. He does a great job of covering these, covering volleyball and getting these highlights and previews on all these young ladies. He did a great one on her, I believe, last week. You'll be able to go on ysnlive.com and find it. It'll be right there. Just go to your tab over at Lakeside, and that's where you're going to find all of your sports stories, whether it's volleyball, football, cross country, you name it. If we covered it, it'll be on there. Let's go over to the Edgewood Warriors, who are 12-4 this week. This is for the week of 9/20 to 9/27. The Warriors going to finish this week 2-0, defeating both Conneaut and Madison. Their kill leader is Faith Venzel, the freshman phenom for this Warriors team. She has gone out there and made an immediate difference for this team. 200 kills for her. McKenna Venzel, the senior, who's going out there and doing a great job. She's also hit, I believe, 1,000 digs was the number she hit. And if I'm wrong, I apologize ahead of time. I know she's a phenomenal player. She just hit that a couple weeks ago. McKenna Venzel, 28 aces is their leader. Faith Venzel is their block leader with 64. McKenna Venzel is their dig leader with 358. And their assist leader is Gianna Iannetta with 480. For those of you who are watching, I got to ask, the kill stat in volleyball, if you are a volleyball fan watching this right now, is that the spike? Like you set it up and they spike it down? Is that what the kill is? Obviously, I don't cover a ton of volleyball, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And for some of these kill numbers, if it spikes, as I always call them, boy, is that a heck of a number. Getting over to the St. John Heralds, who are 13-1, going 2-0 last week. Defeating Bloomfield and Wyndham. Ladies and gentlemen, they still have not lost a single set since August 23rd. As we head into October, they have not lost a single set. These ladies are on a rampage. This is their second year in the NAC, and they are posed to win that conference for the second year in a row. And it's thanks in largely in part to the names that we're going to talk about right now. Gabby Johnston is their kill leader with 172. She's also their ace leader with 47. Izzy Holler is their block leader with 19. Their dig leader is Alexa Jordan, and their assist leader is Lizzie Ducro. She's got a few less than 2,348. It's supposed to be 2,034. That's a typo on my part. But I will tell you, congratulations to Lizzie Ducro as she passes 1,000 assists this week. We're getting later into the season, and these young ladies are starting to get more and more milestones. I know that how hard she has worked for years and years with volleyball out there. It's great to see these young ladies reaching these milestones and getting there. Lizzie Ducro, a heck of a volleyball player, and she can set up for the kill, that is for sure. Jefferson Falcons, who are 13-2, they week of 9/20 to 9/27. They go 3-0 last week, defeating Lakeview, Geneva, and Conneaut. Their stat leaders for the week are Chloe O'Rourke with 246. Their ace leader is Sarah Stone with 41. Cassidy Blood is their block leader with 20. Chloe O'Rourke on here again with their digs, as 196. She's another one, hit a big milestone. I think we talked about it last week as she's 1,000 digs for her. And Helena Edgar with 448 assists already this year. Almost 1,000 assists for Mrs. Edgar. Miss Edgar, excuse me. Outstanding play from the Jefferson Falcons. The Conneaut Spartans, 5-10 on the year, 9/20 to 9/27 is the week. The Spartans are going to go 0-2 last week, taking losses to two very, very good teams in Edgewood and Jefferson. Your kill leader out there, Maddie Zappatelli, with 96. You got your ace leader is Kayla Fairley, with 23. Your block leader is Bella Fix with 25. Dig leader is Kayla Farley with 182. And your assist leader again this week for Conneaut is Lexi Brown. Moving over to the Grand Valley Mustangs, who are 5-8. They go 0-2 last week, taking losses to South Range and Edgewood. Their kill leader is Michaela Hopes with 87. She's also their ace leader with 36. Your block leader out there, Dixie Miller with 9. Michaela Hopes is their dig leader as well with 137. And your assist leader, Caitlin Bauman, with 222. Pymatuning Valley Lakers, 4-13. They are 0-2 on the week last week, taking losses to both Badger and Maplewood. No stats available on the Lady Lakers for the volleyball last week, but boy, has it been a great year so far for volleyball. Again, Anthony does a great job of really covering and focusing on volleyball on Running Point. You're going to see that one at noon during the days. He does it every day, goes through, does a great job with all these player profiles and making sure he highlights that side of sports. It's really cool to see. He's done some player profiles on quite a few girls up here, including Abby, Andy Makovsky, Tess Collins, Gabby Johnston. You look out there, they'll be out there. And he's doing a great job. So make sure you go check those ones out. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to get into the stat leaders in the football. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about Ashtabula County's top performing football players through 6 weeks of football. I cannot believe that we are through 6 weeks. We are heading into week 7, and we are going to talk a little bit about where the playoffs and where everybody sits later on in the show. But let's start off right here, maintaining the same order as last week. But the gap got very, very close this week between 1 and 2. Tony Hall, 92 for 162. He's got 1,467 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. And that's after going against a very, very stingy Geneva defense who it was a tough night for him. He will be the first one to admit. Coach Cooper will be the first one to admit. Geneva is a very, very good football team. One of, if not the best, one of the best backfields in the state of Ohio is what you're going up against there. And they've got a linebacking core that can match that energy. And it just made for a difficult night for the Edgewood Warriors. They'll be sure to bounce back this week as they're going to be taking on Madison for sure. In second place, St. John's Vin Narducci, who is 82 for 147, 1,439 yards for the Herald. 14 touchdowns and 3 interceptions for him. Alex DeSalvatore in third place over at Lakeside, and Lakeside just does not throw the ball very much. When they do, though, it is effective. He goes out there 43 for 98, 570 yards, 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions for him. Sammy Goforth at Grand Valley, having a tougher year than he wanted to, but he's starting to get back into the groove. 26 for 60. He is 436 yards in the air, 3 touchdowns, 8 interceptions for him. Max Gleason, who is the pinnacle of a running quarterback, 24 for 45. He's got 338 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions for him. Ryan Croston, another one of those primarily running quarterbacks, 18 for 45, 258, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And then you got Jefferson's Cage Bozar, 24 for 41, 178 yards in the air and 1 touchdown for him. There's some glitches with the stats with Jefferson. We are working on getting some of those. These are all the stats that I have available. So just before you guys jump on me, give me a break. I'm doing with what I got. The rushing leaders this week in week 6, it's going to be Conneaut at the top. And holy smokes, folks, I just want you guys to look at the numbers. 108 carries for Max Gleason, 949 yards and 8 touchdowns. This kid is almost a 1,000-yard rusher already, and we still have 3 weeks of regular season football and as many weeks as they're going to play into the playoffs as well. He is the real deal out there. Wyatt Payne has got 122 carries for 928 yards and 9 touchdowns. Guys, these guys share the ball. 900 yards. These guys are almost 2,000 yards between 2 guys that share carries. It's really, really, the Rocco run the ball Rocco is doing the same thing this year, and it is really working for the Spartans. Ryan Croston and Ty Vickery, another dynamic duo in third and fourth place there. 93 carries for Croston, 622 yards. 97 carries for Ty Vickery, 611 yards. Those guys both with 9 touchdowns apiece. Cage Bozar, 56 carries for 567 yards and 5 touchdowns. And Lakeside's Devin Miller, the youngster who is taking on that primary back role with Nate Bartone. They're sharing the backfield. 58 carries, 429 yards, and 4 touchdowns for him. Into the receiving numbers, and this is where we are starting to see a pattern as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Will Anderson is about 400 yards ahead of everybody in the pack. 40 receptions for 863 yards, 11 touchdowns for Anderson. I'm going to, after the show tonight, go into the record books and start seeing where this young man is standing, because he's got to be approaching it. We are through 7 weeks of 7 weeks of football, and he has already passed where some of the guys last year were in week 10. It has been a magical year for that Herald, Will Anderson. And I think it's in large part, you look at what Ben Narducci's doing over at quarterback with 1,400 yards. This is definitely his primary target, but there's a second guy on this list as well. In second place, Jacob Ernst over there at Edgewood, 23 receptions for 437 yards, 5 touchdowns. And right behind him, Anthony Hunt, 21 for 356 and 3 touchdowns. You want to talk about receiving cores in the area, and Edgewood has a case to be the most talented. They've got 4 guys in that wide receivers group that can really go out there and give business to almost any defensive back they go up against. You know, you've got Anthony Hunt, Jacob Ernst, Zach Hull, and Hunter Broad. Those guys can score. They're great athletes. And you got a quarterback like Tony Hall who knows how to use his weapons. I'm going to be very interested, to see how that's going to turn out this week as they go up against a very, very tough 5-1 Madison Blue Streaks. Anthony Severino coming in next. He's got 10 receptions for 281 yards. He's got 3 touchdowns. Ryan Williams, the fullback for the St. John Heralds, on here with 19 receptions and 245 yards there. I just talked about Zachary Carlton Hall. He's on here with 14 receptions for 243, 5 touchdowns for that young man. And the Grasshopper, Bobby Rogers out there in Grand Valley. Again, slow start for them. And they went up against probably one of the best teams in the state last week in Kirtland. So he is continuing on his path. Here we go. It's tackle leaders for this week through 6. Now, I want to stop and I'm going to take a moment to explain this to everybody watching, and now and later and in the future. There's been some questions on stats. There's always questions on who should win player of the week and that sort of thing. And I want to be the first one to tell you guys that I don't show preferential treatment to absolutely anybody. It's all about stats. It's all about who's doing what we're seeing and where they're at and what week it is. You know, sometimes you have a big week, but sometimes somebody has a bigger week. And we do our best to try and, highlight as many people as we possibly can. So I wanted to put that to bed, because we've had a couple weeks here in the last few where when the player of the week goes out, there's usually some comments as to who should have won and that sort of thing. And another one that we get is usually the tackles, and there's questions about the tackles and the way that they're calculated. So it's really simple. The way we calculate tackles is the way that we were taught how to do it. It's the way they do it at the collegiate level. If you have a solo tackle, it counts as 1. If you have an assist tackle, it counts as half of a tackle. Sacks, TFLs, those count as an additional tackle as well. So you're getting the bonus point for the sack and the TFL, but your assist tackles don't count as a full tackle. It's a half a tackle. That's how it's put in there. So sometimes our numbers don't necessarily match up with all the other numbers you see out there, but I promise you that everybody is put through the exact same algorithm. Everybody is put through the exact same equation, and that's how we come up with these numbers. So I just wanted to push that out there. I know there were some questions as to, some guys have a little bit more and that sort of thing, but that's how we do it. Assist tackles actually bring down the number for a lot of people, because if you count assist as one, it boosts your number. But in actuality, assist on this show at least count for half a tackle. So if you have 20 solo tackles and 20 assist tackles, your number isn't 40, your number is 30. All right, let's get into these. Your top stat leader this week is Zeke Lucas with 60.5 tackles, and you're going to see where he was able to boost these numbers this week as we progress through this list. Nate Bartone goes into second place this week with 58. He was our leader last week. Seth Enos with 54. Ty Koval's got 49.5. Ty Koval comes into this year as the all-time leading tackler in Conneaut history. He is just putting up another monster year. Right behind him is St. John's Will Anderson with 49. Ryan Williams has 48.5. Excuse me. Lakeside's Randy Valeriano with 44.5. Ty Vickery on there with 40.5. As I talked about it during his interview, he was going to be on the list here again. Bryce Sperlin on here with 40. And those are your top tacklers this week. Tackle for loss leaders, and this is where you can punch up those numbers here just a little bit. Abby Ortiz with 8 is tied with Seth Enos, Zeke Lucas, and Mason Thor. So one lone dragon amongst 3 Edgewood Warriors at the top for TFLs this week. Right there toward the top in second place again, Ty Koval with 7. He is an effective tackler and a more effective tackler when it comes to being for a loss. And Ryan Croston, who is on the list this week with 6, I'll tell you what, he must have had at least 4 in the game we called Friday. He was all over the field. When he wasn't running in for touchdowns, he was keeping them from progressing the ball. Your sack leader again this week is the St. John Herald's lone senior, Hank Wagner, with 5, and right behind him is going to be Seth Enos with 2.5. This is I see a typo right here. We'll have to get that fixed before we push this one out. We have 8 county players tied with 2 sacks, not 8. It would be incredible if we had that many with 8. We have 8 county players who are also tied with 2 on the sacks. All right, and then into the interceptions. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe I got all of the updated numbers from the coaches. I've had some people who reached out to let me know that there were some interceptions that didn't get counted on there, and some people should have been on the list. So hopefully we got them all this week. It's week 6, and your interception leaders are at the top dog in the county, Hunter Brott. He is hunting for the ball on defense. 4 interceptions for that young man this year. Right behind him, we got a tie between PV's Alex Simon, who got his 3rd on Friday night against Southeastern, and Anthony Hunt, who also has 3. That's one of the ones that got updated. Anthony Severino on here with 2 interceptions. Donald Crawford on here with 2 interceptions. He got his 2nd interception on Thursday night in that airtight classic game against Matthews. Jacob Ernst is also on there with 2 interceptions. Wyatt Payne on there with 2 interceptions, and Thad Huya on there with 2 interceptions. So you got 2 Conneaut guys who are tied with 2 interceptions apiece as well. So what a year it has been so far for the defenses here in this area. They have really been stepping up when it comes to tackles, stepping up when it comes to picking the ball off and making turnovers. And we've seen how much that can actually change the game in the games that we've covered ourselves. So great job to all those young men, and look forward to seeing who's going to be there. Are we going to maintain? Is somebody else going to find their way on the list? I can tell you that for the interceptions, at least, we have 14 other guys in the county right now with at least 1 interception. It has really been something to see. Let's go into last week's results. So last week's results, you got Madison, who is now 5-1. They're going to beat Lakeside 42-20. Lakeside now 2-4. The Conneaut Spartans go into Jefferson 47-22. In that one, Lakeside or Jefferson starting off 0-6 this year, and Conneaut moving 4-2. Conneaut getting ever so closer to that playoffs run right now. You've got Geneva, who goes 5-1 on the year, 49-14 over Edgewood, 4-2 their record now. Geneva at 5-1, and it has been a good year. It has been a good year for Geneva. We talked about how big this game was going to be. Whoever left that game 5-1 was probably going to be the favorite to win the Lake Conference, the Lake Division. And Geneva, I believe, is now in the driver's seat. And without, I don't know, there could be an upset this week. We'll talk a little bit later about that. Kirtland, who is now 5-1, 55. Grand Valley, who falls to 2-4. They were unable to score on the Hornets, but not many people can score on those Hornets. And then the Pymatuning Valley Lakers, who are now 3-3 on the year, 64-34 over the 5-1 Southeast Pirates now. And that was another one. That was a big part of that game. Was the fact that, Southeast was coming in there 5-0, and it jumped PV up pretty good in the playoff standings for that win. It's one of those ones that I can tell you right now, Drew Pasteur on here did not have PV winning that game. So it was interesting to see PV go out there, not just win it, but win it handedly as well. They were in control of that game from pillar to post, from first whistle to the last. We're going to talk about some of the games that are coming up this week. And what you're going to be able to see all these games on ysnlive.com. Lakeside is going to be 2-4 taking on Jefferson, who is actually 0-6. This is going to be an interesting one here because you got two programs that are not where they want to be going into this week. Lakeside is at home. So you tend to say that the home field advantage is going to go for them. I also know that this is homecoming for Lakeside. On the Jefferson side of things, when you talk about the previous 6 weeks, you can throw them out the window. You want to get your year started off right. Why not go out there and play as hard as you can against one of your old rivals? This was a rivalry game from when I was in school, Lakeside and Jefferson. I think this is going to be a great one. It's going to be me and Sean Prine on this call this week. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Make sure you tune in a little bit early because it's going to be homecoming, so we'll have the homecoming festivities live on your home for Ashtabula County Sports, ysnlive.com. Edgewood at 4-2 taking on Madison at 5-1. Ladies and gentlemen, double circle this game. This is the one. This is the game of Friday night. This is Friday night's feature. This is going to be the one that is going to make a difference. If Edgewood can go out there and if you look at what they're saying on here, upset Madison, they have set themselves up for potentially hosting a playoff game. Huge, huge implications on this one. Madison, on the other hand, the Blue Streaks at 5-1, their only loss comes to the number one team in all of Division 5, the Perry Pirates. They are having their best year that they have had since 2012. It has been a big season for Madison, and one of these teams is going to leave disappointed. Conneaut and Geneva. We talked about the upset potential, and this is the one. I think if you look at Conneaut, Conneaut and Geneva, if you look at just the team makeup right now, Geneva's the favorite, and that's not me playing favorites. You look at all the analytics, what they're saying, Geneva is the favorite. And actually, to help to plead my case here a little bit more, I'm going to tell you exactly how much they are favored by. So you look at Drew Pasteur right now, they're saying that Geneva is favored by 32 points. I respect Drew Pasteur. I respect Joe Idle. I don't think there's a chance that this game ends that way. You have two 1,000-yard rushers in Conneaut. Geneva likes to run the ball. This is going to be a game of ball control. And I think this game right here, this 4-2 versus 5-1 game right here, is going to be a good matchup. They match up well against each other. Two hard-nosed teams. It's going to be about who can minimize their mistakes. Geneva right now is looking to go 9-1 and host not one but 2 playoff games on the year. Conneaut's got a chance to spoil that right now and set themselves up to be on pace to host a playoff game. It's week 7. We got to start talking about that. Moving on. St. John, who is 2-4, they are going down to Windham to play another NAC rival in the Windham Bombers. They are 2-4 as well. St. John takes an absolute heartbreaker last week. Me and Ray have called every game they've played this year. That's the hardest I've seen those kids play. It was amazing to go out there and watch them play. If they could take half of that energy and push it down into Portage County, they're going to be coming home 3-4. But somebody's coming home 3-4. We're going to find out who. Pymatuning Valley 3-3 versus Fairport Harbor. They're going to Fairport. 2-4 are the skippers right now. I think if PV sticks to their guns and you give them a heavy dose of running, I think PV can take that one as well. Grand Valley and Harvey. This one has another one that I think if you're Harvey and you overlook Grand Valley, they can win this game. Grand Valley has some talented young men who can score and some great athletes. All right, that is the matchups that are coming up this week. I want to talk a little bit about playoffs. Playoffs? You're talking about playoffs? That's exactly what we're talking about right now. So we're going to talk. We're going to go through the regions, and we're going to just talk a little bit about where everybody is sitting at. So everybody from up this way. So you've got Lakeside, who is in Division 2, Region 5, and Lakeside is going to need a little bit of help. They've had a tough year so far, 2-4. But you talk about getting some of these wins right now. You know, they've still got 3.8 points. 16 get in. So, you know, Lakeside sits at 17. Couple wins, Lakeside can get right in there, especially when you look at teams ahead of them like John Hay and those guys who I would expect as they start that Cleveland schedule are going to start losing games. So the door's still very much wide open for Lakeside. Division 3, I don't think we have anybody in Ashtabula other than Geneva. But as you can see, Geneva is in second place with 12 points. Over here in Division 4, this is one to kind of keep your eyes on. You got Edgewood, who is sitting at 9 right now with 7, just 7.3 points. So going to be interesting. Obviously, Jefferson. It would take some big time upsets. They would have to go undefeated. I think they're technically still on the bubble for this one. And actually, I think we're going to go over to Louis Pasteur or Drew Pasteur, actually, because I just like the way he does it a little bit better. Give me a little bit more to talk about, right? So let's go into Division 5, and this is where you're seeing some of these teams. Perry, obviously, way ahead at number 16 in the state. That should be Conneaut should be in here. There they are. So you got Conneaut, who's 4-2 right now. Conneaut, obviously, again, they're picked to lose this game this week. I'm not buying that. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. I think they match up incredibly well against Geneva. I think Geneva knows that they match up well against them, and they're going to try and stop two of the most dynamic running backs in the county, in Max Gleason and Wyatt Payne. But right now they're 80% in now. But if they go 4-6, they're on the bubble. So they've still got games against Edgewood, Lakeside, and Madison. It is an absolute gauntlet for Conneaut for the remainder of this year. I want to jump over here to PV because PV grabbed some points. Where are they at? Are they D6? Yep, they are. So PV is already in number 7 position. Here we go. And, they've got, games against Fairport Harding, who they're picked to win, Matthews, who they're picked to win, St. John, they're picked to win, and Windham, who they're picked to win. So, PV right now looking at most likely a 6-win season, possibly 7, which is going to put them in and home. So that Southeastern game really played a huge part, but PV is going to have to do their part to make it happen. And then finally, we'll go over to Division 7 where we'll talk about St. John. And St. John is going to need some help. They're going to have to get some big W's out here. I can tell you that Lincoln West is a Division 3 team, so that win alone allots them a ton of points. So they can get that one, and they are picked to win. That can sneak them in. 1% in, they would be able to sneak in depending on how some of those other games go. They're going to need, teams like Beechwood to get a couple wins on the year to actually help them there as well. So that is what's upcoming. Like I said, you'll be able to follow all these teams right here on YSN this week on Friday. Again, you'll be able to see me and Sean Prime. We're going to Lakeside. It's homecoming, baby, for the Dragons. So I will be over at Lakeside this week. So that's where I'll be, and make sure you guys tune in 7 o'clock. Make sure you guys tune in to 3 o'clock right here on YSN as well for the Super Show, where we go through and we pick all the games on the network, and it's usually me making a case for Ashtabula teams. That is what I've become on there. So thanks so much for joining tonight, Sam Torres, and what a blast. Thank you so much for Ty Vickery joining the show tonight, and for everybody who tuned in and stayed and watched. My name is Sam Torres, and this is for the 440.
This for the 440. This for the 440. For the city and the back roads, got a whole county full of them ghosts. All from the 440 and let's go. Hey, this just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the 440 chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewell got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really bout it. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them. Yeah, and kinda I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the 440.